On the other hand, of course, we hear a lot about good human relations, blah, blah, blah. But here again, sexuality is subordinated to, does it contribute to the depth of your relation to the other, and so on and so on. But what happens in an intense copulation is that the two dimensions fall together. That's for me, sorry for getting in my old age when you dream about things that you are no longer doing, at least not a lot. It's that the mystery of sexuality is that it's at the same time an intense bodily enjoyment and an absolute contact with the other. Not in this metaphysical sense, while I make love to you, it's really that I try to communicate with your soul. No, fuck soul, it's brutally concrete. Isn't this the paradox of fanatical love or sex with love, that the more you reduce the other to an object, the more you have a spiritual surrender? Which is why I claim when the church, I read somewhere when I was young already, that the church prefers missionary position, claiming that in this way sexuality is not only animal, but you whisper some stupidities to the other's ear and so on. No, this is a way to maintain distance towards the other, I claim. Even a spiritual distance. In other words, what the church wants to protect us is precisely the metaphysical, miraculous, eventual dimension of sexuality. Sexuality as, a traumatic event which, again, cannot be reduced to functional pleasure in copulation and so on and so on. So, again, now the last thing. I don't have time to go to the end, but maybe the most important thing. Well, I mentioned this missing link, no sexual relationship, and so on and so on. The last trap here, and here one has to be up to a point critical even of Lacan himself, is where, if you read Lacan really carefully, you must have noticed a certain ambiguity. On the one hand, Lacan massively endorses this standard philosophical topic of the opposition between animals and humans. There is sexual relationship for animals. Animals are purely determined by instinctual knowledge, a call of nature, not in that sense of, but in the sense of, when to copulate, blah, blah, blah. It's not a problem there. With animals, it functions. With us, humans, we need poetry, fantasies, it doesn't function. But does it really function with animals? I think that this idea of opposing nature as a domain of some naive, immediate balance, and then, all this bombastic existentialist topic of man as nature sick unto death. With man, nature no longer provides instinctual knowledge, so we need intelligence, poetry to fill in the gap, and so on and so on. I think that here we have to do a step. Maybe I will speak about it later. You find some about it already in my big fat book, Less Than Nothing. Namely, this idea that it's not enough to say man is a denatured animal. Nature in itself is already denatured. It just doesn't know it. What do I mean by it? What is unconscious? Here, Alenka Zbancic uses a wonderful game of words where, the usual expression is, are you aware of something? Are you conscious of something? She introduces the term to be unconscious of something. That to be unconscious of does not mean you don't know it. That precisely repressed knowledge and so on and so on. That both nature and man don't know how to do it. But nature simply doesn't know that it doesn't know. It's not unconscious of it. But a catastrophe imbalance is already in nature. Okay, Lacan gives also some hints in this direction. For example, if you read carefully in Seminar 11, when he introduces this notion of lamella, the undead object, he locates the gap, the rupture, signaled by the term lamella, this undead object, already at the level of animal sexuality. Lacan is much more radical here. Lacan, I think, oscillates here between, again, this simple celebration of humanity as at a loss, this standard topic. Man doesn't have instinctual foundation, coordinates of instinctual knowledge, which is why it has to invent things, it's creative, blah, blah, blah. No, there is already a gap in nature itself. And that would be, for me at least, again, the great task of materialism today. How to denaturalize nature. I think the true battle is there. The true battle is not in naturalizing man. The true battle is in denaturalizing nature. The ultimate idealist resistance is the very naivety of naturalism. Like, we have nature which knows how, and then somehow, I don't know how, things go wrong with humans. What I'm trying to give you, that's what I developed in my book, is, is this wonderful idea that you find in Schelling, in Walter Benjamin, even Heidegger takes it over. This idea that there is, okay, of course, this is mystical topic, but I claim we can get a materialist version of it. That Benjamin says somewhere that human language was created, or humans invented language, to give word to the pain which is already in nature and to redeem the pain in nature. It's a wonderful speculation. Of course, one shouldn't give it this direct mythic reading, but again, if we, of course, drop this mystical topic, and if we simply say some kind of radical discord and so on, which is already in nature, and that with humanity, nature, as it were, becomes unconscious of its own discord. This is, as you maybe know, if you read some of my stuff, the way I also read quantum physics, in the sense that quantum physics denaturalizes nature. What the image of reality that we get there, it's not culture, but it's also not nature in the usual sense that we understand nature, and so on and so on. There were, of course, many other things that I wanted to develop here. What I wanted to develop. Okay, just one more point, so that I still have 3 minutes. You will now demand, how do you call this when you are paid more? Overtime, yeah. If we split the profit, then I will sign it for you. The theory. Just as a final note, what would be materialist theology? Recently, I was rereading Kierkegaard's concept of anxiety, where he evokes a wonderful, tremendous materialist idea. Kierkegaard evokes, this is my guy, Simon Tornacensis, a 13th century scholastic who tried to develop a logical proof of God's existence. And then the idea of Tornacensis is that God himself is that while he, it's a very arrogant position, while he, Tornacensis, is writing this, trying to deduce the necessity of existence of God, that God himself is watching him with anxiety, as if he fails with this proof, God will, like that proverbial cat that falls down, God will discover that he doesn't exist, as if God, oh my God, what will happen to me if they will not succeed in proving that I exist? And then, with his incredible political sense, Kierkegaard says this story of this guy who thought that God's existence itself depends on will we philosophers prove his existence. This story has numerous analogies, and in our time, speculation has assumed such authority that it has practically tried to make God feel uncertain of himself, like a monarch who is anxiously waiting to learn whether the General Assembly would make him an absolute or a limited monarch. And I like this idea that philosopher will decide, are you God truly a master? Are you just a dazed God with limited powers? And so on and so on. And again, I think that crazy as it may sound, each of us as subjects are in this position of God, in the sense that literally our existence depends on the other. You know, it's literally when you are, it's not, now you will say, but fuck it, no, I exist even if the whole world disappears. Yeah, but you exist then as what? As a stupid human animal. For you to exist at the most radical level as a human being, you depend on the others radically. And again, in this sense, here I see also, I'm jumping now just to conclude the last minute, the lesson of quantum physics. For example, you know, this idea that at the micro level, things can go on that the system doesn't register. You can cheat ontologically. And here, I think it's the ultimate materialist answer to that big question. Namely, Einstein's answer to Niels Bohr. God doesn't cheat. God, of course, I am not a believer. If by God we simply say the system of rationality, whatever. The answer to Einstein should be, okay, maybe God doesn't cheat, but he can be cheated. In the sense that at the virtual quantum level, things can happen that God doesn't notice. And there you can quickly cheat. And interestingly enough, there are, more about this on Monday, there are theologists who draw this wonderful conclusion. That it's not a problem of is God cheating? No, we can cheat on God. God, precisely as all-powerful, nonetheless doesn't know everything. Sorry for this confusion on Monday. On Monday, we go on, if you survive the Hegelian bullshit. Unfortunately, with great pleasure, I tell you now, I'm so infinitely sad that there is no time for debate. Ha, ha, ha. No, thanks very much.